Hello children, how are you today? Today we're going to talk about the Parsha. So, this week's Parsha is Parshat Naso. Can you say Naso? The Parsha of the week is Parshat Naso. Parshat Naso. Parshat Naso. The Parsha of the week is Parshat Naso. Parshat Naso. Now in this week's Parsha, we learn about how all the Shvatim brought presents for when the Mishkan was finished being built. Do you remember I talked about the Mishkan in another video? So let me show you a picture of the Mishkan. This is what the Mishkan looked like. The Mishkan is a place where Hashem rested. It's like a shul, right? Now, sometimes I tell you about the times of the Beit Hamikdash, right? And sometimes I tell you about the Mishkan. They were both Hashem's house. This is Hashem's house, and this is where Hashem rests. So what's the difference between the Beit Hamikdash and the Mishkan? Well, let me ask you, do you live in a house? Yes, you live in a house. Now sometimes when you go camping, do you live in your house when you go camping? You live in a tent sometimes when you go camping, right? So when the Jewish people were traveling in the Midbar, in the desert, they had like a tent Beit Hamikdash, and it was called the Mishkan. So they would it was like a tent because it was a very big, see it's the shape of a rectangle, and it had lots of poles. Can you see all the poles? See the poles? Lots of poles, and they were made from gold. Beautiful gold poles, and then it was wrapped around with a very long piece of fabric called a tapestry. And every time the Jewish people would rest, the Leviim, remember that people that the Kohanim and the Leviim would help set up this Mishkan so that they could use it. So the Leviim would carry all these pieces when they were traveling, and then when they would stop traveling, they would set up the Mishkan. Shall we see what was inside the Mishkan? Well, if you can see, here is a very big gold Mizbeach. Can you say Mizbeach? Can you see there's a ramp here? That ramp. Let me show you another picture of a Mizbeach here. This Mizbeach was very big, and there was a ramp because you couldn't really just go up here. It was so big, it was like a big building. So the Kohanim would walk up this ramp together with the Korban, and at the top they would give the Korban, they would burn the Korban on the top here with fire. That was the Mizbeach. See? Now, that was the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach was here. Now, if you look very closely, you can see a little thing peeking out under the Mizbeach. That was a special sink called the Kior. You want to see what the Kior looked like? It was copper. It was made from shiny copper. See, it's got two taps like you have in your house, and the Kohanim would wash their hands before they would go and serve Hashem. In the Mishkan, they would have to make sure their hands and feet were clean. Do you have to wash your hands and feet before you eat or before you do something important? Well, that's what the Kohanim did. They washed their hands and feet with this kior. Now, this kior was made from copper. It was made from a special material, and that copper came from the mirrors of the Jewish mummies that were in Mitzrayim. In Mitzrayim, the mummies had mirrors, and when they gave those presents to Moshe for the Mishkan, they were made into this kior. You see that? So that's the kior, and that was in the Mishkan. So we have the Mizbeach, and we have the kior here. And here we have the Kodesh. This was a holy spot. It was built with wood and it was covered with curtains. See that? Now, should we see what was inside the kior? In the Kodesh, excuse me. Should we see what was inside the Kodesh? There was more special pieces of furniture. So what furniture do you have in your house? Do you have a couch? Do you have a table? Do you have a chandelier or a light bulb? Do you have a bed? Do you think we had those things in the Beit Hamikdash? Sorry, in the Mishkan and the Beit Hamikdash. So the Beit Hamikdash was built when the Jewish people went into Eretz Yisrael. First, they were traveling in the Midbar, in the desert. Remember, with Moshe Rabbeinu and all the Jewish people when they left Mitzrayim, they traveled for 40 years in the Midbar. And then they got to Eretz Yisrael. And when they were all finished settling in the land, in their Eretz Yisrael, in the new land, then it was time to build the Beit Hamikdash. And that's when they built the Beit Hamikdash. But until then, they were using the Mishkan to bring karbanot presents to Hashem. Okay, so do you think they had those? What furniture do you think they had in the Mishkan? Let's see. So remember, in the Kodesh, in this special room here, there was more furniture. Let me show you what they had. So the first thing they had was they had a shulchan, a table. Now, this is what it looked like. Is this what a table in your house looks like? This table is not just a flat table. It's a special table just to hold bread. You see, all these shelves are where the bread stays. Each bread gets its own shelf. And I think there was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 on this side and 6 on that side, which makes 12. So every week they would bake special bread and they would put it on the shulchan table. That's one thing they had in the Kodesh. Then they had the menorah. This is a special lamp. Remember, the Kohen Gadol. Here's my Kohen Gadol. He lit the menorah every single day. And that would make the Mishkan shine a special light for all the Jewish people and for the whole world. And that we know from Hanukkah, the menorah, right? So the menorah was also in the Kodesh, in the Mishkan. And we have one more thing in the Kodesh called another Mizbeach. This was a little Mizbeach, so I didn't need a ramp. See? This was a little Mizbeach they had there. Now, there was a special curtain that divided the Kodesh into half. One section had the menorah, the Mizbeach, and the Shulchan, and the other section was called the Kodesh HaKadashim, the holiest of holies. Even the Kohen Gadol was not allowed to go in the Kodesh HaKadashim, only on Yom Kippur. Now, do you know what was inside the Kodesh HaKadashim? It was the Aron, the gold Aron. Can you see? This was a special box. And it had gold, and it had wood and gold. It had 3 layers. And inside the Aron, there was something so special. It was a special box. Do you know what was inside? I'm going to go get it. It was the luchot. The luchot was stored inside the Aron. I wonder if they put them on top of each other and stuck them inside just like that. That was a special box to keep the luchot that Moshe made for us from Har Sinai. Remember, on Shavuot, we got the Torah, we got the luchot. So those were stored inside the Aron, in the special Kodesh HaKadashim. Now, can you see these special kruvim on top of the Aron? Say kruvim. Kruvim. Kruvim were little tiny angel babies. Can you see they have wings? And they were looking at each other. But you know what happened when the Jewish people were fighting? The angel babies didn't look at each other. They turned the other way like this. So when the Jewish people were friends and kind and loving each other, the Kruvim looked at each other. But when the Jewish people were fighting, the Kruvim turned away, and Hashem's Shekhinah couldn't rest inside the Aron, which made everybody very sad. But this was a special box in the Kodesh HaKodashim, in the Kodesh, in the Mishkan. Okay, so let me show you all our beautiful kalim, all the vessels of the Mishkan. Can you see? Here they are. And here is our Mishkan. See that? Now when the Beit Hamikdash was built, all those kalim got to be placed inside the Beit Hamikdash. So now we don't have a Mishkan and we don't have a Beit Hamikdash. So how and where can Hashem rest and be here with us when we don't have a Mishkan or a Beit Hamikdash? Because Hashem rested in the Mishkan and the Beit Hamikdash, and now we don't have these things. So where can Hashem be? Do you know? I know. Don't worry, friends. Hashem can rest everywhere. So we have a shul. We can come together in shul, like a Beit Hamikdash, and we can daven there, and Hashem can rest there. And you know what else can be a Mishkan? Your house. Everybody's house can be a Mishkan. You know what you need to do to make it a Mishkan? You need to say, Hashem, this is a place where I want you to be. So what do you think we can do to make our house a Mishkan? Well, when we do mitzvot in our house, we bring Hashem into our house. When we daven, when we invite Hashem into our activities, we make a bracha on our food. When we make our home a house for Hashem, then our house can be a Mishkan and Hashem can rest in our home. You know where else Hashem can rest? Hashem can rest in our Mishkan, in our bodies. We can make our bodies a place for Hashem to rest. When we eat healthy, we take care of ourselves. That's honoring our bodies as a place for Hashem to rest. And you know where the most important place where Hashem can rest? Inside our heart. When we fill our heart with love and kindness and good feelings, Hashem is resting inside of us. Hashem can rest inside of our hearts. So even though we don't have a Mishkan, we don't have a Beit Hamikdash, Hashem can still rest inside of our home, inside of our body, and inside of our hearts. So let's just invite Hashem inside. Hashem, come inside my home, come inside my body, come inside my heart, and I want to be with you. I want you in my life. Okay, friends, that's what the Parsha is telling us this week. I hope you enjoyed